for Technology Solutions and Digital Initiatives, and Ben Basco, our UCF Engineering Librarian. I am a graduate engagement librarian and social sciences liaison. And in addition to Lee and Ben, we have other work group members and contributors to the presentation. Sarah Norris, who is UCF's Scholarly Communication Librarian, and Sandy Avila, UCF Science Librarian. Okay. Trying to get my screen to share, sorry, there we go. So a little bit of background about our project. It was a pilot project that we started collaborating on beginning in fall 2019. And a little bit of background about UCF. UCF is a large metropolitan university the main campus is located in Orlando, Florida. And UCF's graduate enrollment for 2019-2020 included over 9,500 graduate students and an overall enrollment of more than 69,000 students. The university also holds a Carnegie classification as very high research activity and offers several master's, research doctorates, professional doctorates, and specialist degrees. UCF Libraries has 5 locations in the Central Florida area and is also a partner with state colleges to offer library services at other locations. Our RDM workshop pilot was initially called STEAM Bootcamp. Since UCF doesn't have a dedicated a data services librarian or a formal research data management team, our work group came together to fill the gap for RDM programming and support skills for students. Our fall 2019, spring 2020 workshops are listed on the screen. Planning your lit review, flex your data management muscles, data visualization tools, data sources and data cleanup, and maximizing the impact of your data, citation metrics, and online research profiles. The bootcamp sessions leverage some of the strategies that we've used to provide our long-standing graduate and postdoc workshops that we've offered since fall of 2015. So each semester we offer several workshop topics provided through our collaboration with the College of Graduate Studies, and they're provided in the Graduate Studies Pathways to Success program. The Planning Your Lit Review session really spoke to RDM workshops that covered data literacy. Our focus was at that time data literacy, data analysis, and data visualization. So this was the first workshop, and that was presented in fall 2019. And as part of that data literacy theme, it was a 2-part session that focused on literature reviews and discovery of data sources within the literature to potentially identify secondary data and data repositories. Part 2 of the session was presented by our science and engineering librarians who discussed specific resources. Overall, the combined session was designed to provide a foundation for students and for future RDM workshops. So at this time, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Lee Dotson.
Great, thanks, Corinne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Lee Dotson, and in my work as Digital Initiatives Librarian, I support data management plan creation and related services around the data management plan. So for the past decade, I have presented on data management plans for UCF's Office of Research NSF workshops, as well as department-specific requests for the Faculty Center for Teaching and Learning Summer Conference. Up until now, these were really just one-off standalone presentations that focused on data management plans, a data management plan guide, and information about the DMP tool. Next slide. I was really excited to collaborate with other librarians and think beyond my typical DMP presentation The STEAM Bootcamp series brought data management topics alongside of those other related data competencies to offer really a much more holistic approach than what I had been able to do in the past. The initial planning of the workshops allowed us all to mutually identify needs, seek out those with expertise both inside of the library as well as across campus, and align our related topics into a cohesive workshop series. Next slide. The DMP presentation that I had given was updated and rebranded as Flex Your Data Management Muscles under the new workshop series. As part of the program for research data and tools, the data management presentation focused on data expectations, data and metadata standards, access and sharing considerations, data storage and preservation, and of course, data management plans. Next. Around this same time, I had been meeting with some colleagues in our graduate and research IT group about campus-wide research data services. These discussions ranged from tools and what we had seen at conferences to all sorts of topics around data. During one of those discussions, the topic of workshops came up. We quickly realized that this was an area that would benefit from pooling our expertise and resources. One of the first items we collaborated on was training. Graduate and research IT recently joined the Carpentries, and they were kind enough to reach out to us and provided the opportunity for 2 of our librarians to take the training to become Carpentries certified instructors. And as for the upcoming collaborative workshops, we recently had our first meeting involving parties from both the library and graduate research and IT to get started. And bi-monthly meetings have been scheduled to aid in the discussions and planning for spring 2021 workshops. Next. The internal and external collaborations really led me to rethink my approach to the data management presentation, and the Data Carpentries instructor training reinforced that decision. As we move forward with the sessions, I will continue to put the emphasis on data management skills and supplement with tools such as the DMP tool that researchers can use to support their efforts. And next up, we have Vin Basco.
Hey, thanks, Lee. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Van Basco, and I'm the engineering librarian. So 2 parts of the bootcamp series scheduled for March and April this year was data visualization tools, data sources, and data cleanup, and the maximizing the impact of your data, citation metrics, and online research profiles. But were canceled because of COVID-19. So we have retooled our marketing focus to change it from STEM to STEAM. This change was a result of an environmental scan, past and ongoing internal and external collaboration from RDMLA, that each of us participated in other presentations that we did across campus. Next. So prior to finalizing our planning for our planned spring 2020 boot camps, we had done several presentations. We had some presentations to prepare for data visualization and research impact. So we identified experts outside the library, including internal professionals, to further engage our planned program on STEAM and refine our future programming. We invited Mia Tignor, a librarian and doctoral students in the text and technology program in December, to demonstrate one of the tools for the data visualization. In her presentation, she used the primary data on casualty lists transcribed by public history course. Now, the data includes regiments, name of officers, non-commissioned and commissioned, musicians, artificers, privates of the United States Army who were killed in action or dead of wounds, disease contracted during the late hostilities with the Florida Indians starting August 11, 1835, ending in 1842. With the data, she was able to visualize multiple scenarios and combinations. Now, in August, we were still under the epidemic watch. One presentation for the Stay Savvy Scholarly Communication Summer Workshop Series was presented to all library faculty and staff, called Data Visualization, the What, the Why, and How, presented by our science librarian, Sandy Avila. She covered infographic tools to consider like Canva, Pictochart, Animaker, and some data visualization tools like RStudio, Tableau, Public, and ArcGIS story maps. And we made that available to everyone, not just for the UCF community, but the rest of the world by uploading it to our institutional repository. And that link is on the screen right now. Go, next. Now, moving forward, we will launch the canceled program with expanded theme from STEM to STEAM, so we can invite other members of the UCF community by adding the arts and the humanities. We will have separate workshops under data management, like finding data sources, working with data, managing data, and maximizing the impact of your data. We will invite various experts on these topics, and we already have some planned. We just need to finalize as it gets closer to that date. Next. And lastly, the last part of the series, which would be on data visualization and tools. Now, this time we have 3 different sessions. One on data web visualization basics, one on creating visualization, the other on storytelling and your data. Now, for all participants to fully learn about data visualization, we decided that we allot an hour for each instead of having them all in 1 hour. Again, we will have various speakers or experts who will talk and demonstrate these topics. Okay, next. So thank you. And on behalf of the 5 of us, that concludes our presentation. We are now ready for questions.
This is just a reminder to please enter your questions in the little Q&A box. Instead of using the chat, that's for more general discussion.
Someone did ask about the slides, so we have shared the slides, so they will be with all of the other conference slides.
Yes. Thanks, Lee.
Corinne, do you want to take the promotion of the events question?
I'm sorry, but I don't see it.
Okay, so someone has asked, how do we promote our events? They've tried similar boot camps, but had limited attendance.
Yes. Well, all of us are reaching out to our internal partners. For instance, I partner with Graduate Studies. I know Lee is working with Research and IT, Graduate Research and IT, of course, social media, and often in terms of the graduate workshops, other units on campus will pick up our social media feeds and share information as well. And Graduate Studies, when they do send out information about workshops, they include graduate students and faculty.
I think in addition to that, because I'm the liaison to the College of Engineering and Computer Science, I am able to actually to send the announcement to the listserv, so all the engineering faculty and staff are able to see the announcement and then forward it to the students.
I'm not sure we answered the question about, can you talk about participation levels for the different workshops? Participation levels in terms of the library team. And while I'm waiting for an answer, what was your attendance for the series? Well, our attendance was not very high, but we chalk that up to just getting started. I know with the graduate workshops, which I've been involved in for quite a while, it takes some time to build momentum on campus. And so we're hoping as we go forward, attendance will improve. Okay, I'm not sure if I missed any other.
I will say somebody asked, how did we identify the needs from campus? We have done in the past multiple environmental scans across campus to identify needs and gaps. And really, since we started as a STEM and we started with the science librarians, we had great input into what their graduate and students and faculty were looking for and the questions that they were getting from them.
And I did see a question about being able to see the 1835 data. I don't know if maybe you could email Ven and he could get you in touch with Mia, or we can get it from Mia and respond. I also notice a question about with the STEAM implementation, how do we envision the collaborative partnerships increase and oops, it's jumping around. I'm sorry. With STEAM implementation, how do you envision the collaborative partnerships increase and result in data proliferation across campus? I don't know if maybe Lee or Ven, you want to take that question in terms of adding the STEAM, the component for humanities.
Well, I think what we found is we started with a very STEM focus because that's where a lot of the questions were coming to our subject librarians. And then when we started reaching out to faculty and seeing what some of our faculty were doing, they were coming more from the humanities side. So that's really why we wanted to go ahead and add that A in there and implement it into STEAM so that we could make those connections and use this as a way to help faculty network and find different tools to use and find expertise on campus that they might not normally think to reach out to. So that's a great question.
And sorry to go back to you again, Lee, but Jen asked, did this lead to a shift in RDM services generally or just workshops? So I think our GET collaboration might fit in there.
Yeah, so that's really our collaboration with graduate and research IT is leaning towards a shift in some of those RDM services. As Corinne mentioned at the beginning, we do not have dedicated staff to these services. So we all volunteer our time out of expertise we have in our regular jobs, and because we see the need for it. But it is shifting more in that direction, and more of our librarians are getting training on the side to support these services. So it is starting a shift.
And Betty asked, do we work one-on-one with individuals? And I'm sure that we would certainly do that as liaisons. And then that question came up for latex question from one of the engineering students during our GRIT meeting. And they've also agreed to try to help individuals on a one-to-one basis. So thank you for your questions.
Samuel asked if we conducted the workshops inside the libraries or all over campus. And we really did try to do them outside of the library. So we got space in other buildings in our classroom building, and we were looking at other locations that would be more convenient to researchers and more in their normal workflow.
Okay, and then we had one question about to what extent in training and workshops do we address process and critically oriented issues about data management and data analysis? Going to go back to Lee on that one. Sorry, Lee.
That's okay. So just starting out in these, it was more of an overview, and because it was smaller attendance, we were able to work one-on-one and address some of their specific issues around data management that they were having, and work one-on-one with some of the data analysis. But because they are an hour, hour and a half, we can't get too deep into that. We are skewing them more towards information and then working with tools so that they can have some hands-on experience. And we, as many of us as possible, attend every single one of these workshops so that we can be helpers in the room, so that we can give them some more time and focus on those issues.
And I'm afraid I have to call it there for time so that we don't start running over schedule. But thank you guys so much. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mm-hmm.